Welcome to the Look Good, Move Well podcast.
What's going on, everyone? So I want to tell you a little bit about the sponsor of today's podcast, that is Airwave. Airwave is the performance mouthpiece that I have been using consistently now for close to 4 months. The story goes, I used to wear a performance mouthpiece that was custom made for me almost 4 years ago when I competed in the CrossFit Games. It was my secret weapon. It wore out, it was super expensive, and once it was gone, I just couldn't bring myself to buy a new one until this company came along and made one that is better quality, far less expensive, and something I use every single day, both doing cardio and doing weight training. I have been wearing it every single morning when I do my cardio work. It is great for breathing. You clench down on this mouthpiece and it positions your jaw in the ideal place to open your airway so you can breathe easier. It's super simple to use, very intuitive. I absolutely love it. I actually have 2 of these things, one at the gym and one at my house. I just keep them in a little bit of a cleansing cup of water so that I can grab it each day, rinse it, throw it in, and I use it all the time. And as a matter of fact, today, I just moved about 4,000 pounds of equipment around my gym because we got a huge upgrade to the functional bodybuilding lab with new gear, and I threw in the Airwave because I was going to be lifting some heavy stuff. I mean, I just can't do anything physically active without it almost. So go ahead, check the show notes, go grab your 10% discount off of your Airwave. I highly recommend it, and I hope you enjoy this show. Take care. Hey Marcus, how do you stay so disciplined? Hey Marcus, what's your motivation? How do you stay so motivated? Well, discipline, motivation, and freedom all come together in this episode. It's time to train, but the call of the couch is strong. So what do you tell yourself to get up and go move? Even the most advanced athletes struggle with discipline and motivation sometimes. And so today's episode, we are going to help you frame this concept of discipline and motivation to hopefully help you get out of a funk and to find the consistency that will get you to your results. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoy. Okay, well, welcome back. We're in the studio here at the Functional Bodybuilding Lab. I am joined by Satya. We got Nate helping us out here in the studio. Everything's looking good. We got levels, we got audio, visual, lights. I'm not sweating.
We have your microphone jankily taped up.
My microphone is taped up by this very elegant looking tape, scary sticky tape. I took the component home that, attaches it. So Nate did some MacGyver moves over here. I'm not sure that our listeners know who MacGyver is.
Oh, no, that's sad. You're going to make me feel super old.
I know MacGyver. Look it up. Do a Google.
Yeah, Google that.
Wiki that. And what we have today is a topic that I think we come back to regularly on the podcast. It makes little appearances here and there because I think it's something people genuinely struggle with, and it's like there's maybe a misconception about what it means to be motivated and how you get motivation. And when you see somebody who has had success, I think there's this assumption that, wow, this person is just forever motivated. Like they never
struggle.
They never struggle, right? And I get that question often in direct messages. Hey, Marcus, how do you keep up your motivation? What's your motivation strategy? Give me some tips. So you said that somebody asked you, or you've seen a thread of it showing up in our Facebook group, and I'd love to hear what the context was for those questions, and then we can shed some light on it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of little variations of this question come up in different ways, and I think that the theme that I'm seeing is more around the word discipline. Mm-hmm. So people feel like they're not disciplined. They see people who look like you and they assume that you're 100% disciplined and that there is some mysterious step between where they are and where you are that they could possibly take to be as disciplined as you are.
Yeah. I think that these two words are
essential to discuss together. Discipline, motivation. I have so many ideas on where this could go, but I'll start by saying that, books and podcasts or different things maybe on social media that I come across when there's like an instant connection to the message there. It doesn't mean that like I knew it already, but I just had an intuitive sense that there was something to this. And the book I'm thinking about was a couple years back. I became aware of who Jocko Willink is around the time that most people did. I think he did his first podcast after, retiring from the SEALs or whatever, and from the Navy with Joe Rogan or Tim Ferriss or somebody like that. And I was like, okay, this guy is in my awareness now. And he had a book called Discipline Equals Freedom. And go read the book. It was pretty good read. But there was this message of discipline in there that really unlocks. Was that the name of the book? No, it was not the name of the book, but that was like a concept within it.
That's his slogan. I forget what his book was actually called. Oh, Can't Hurt Me was his autobiography, I think.
That was David Goggins.
I always get those two mixed up.
Anyway, it was a leadership book, but discipline equals freedom is like his mantra, like a big mantra of his. I don't want you guys to go look up the wrong book, okay? Don't type in discipline equals freedom, even though you'll probably get the same thing.
You'll find it.
You'll find it. Jocko.
Okay.
Done. Okay, moving on. But the discipline was, as he puts it, this anchoring behavior or characteristic that gives you the freedom to have everything you want. And I really believe, I resonated with that a lot. How much discipline is required? That's the question I think people want to know. And this is where motivation comes into the picture. Having discipline is only really necessary when you're trying to do something that, like, maybe your physiology or your psychology is telling you, like, I don't want to, it's hard, right? Like, it's, if you get the urge to go to the bathroom, like, you don't need a lot of discipline to, like, go to the bathroom. It's just like, I gotta go. Like, it's coming out, right?
Top priority.
Yeah, top priority. But, I need discipline to turn the show off at night and go to bed early, because the show is addictive. It is built. Netflix is built to keep you on the platform. It doesn't want you to go to bed. It wants you to watch more. Get the hour views up. Get the subscription, get all that up. So you have to work against your psychology and your physiology to do the thing that is better for your health, or could be better for your health, or you've been told is better for your health, right? And until you've done that, you've broken through with the discipline once, twice, maybe it takes you 30 times to do the discipline and break through, to then you're like, whoa, I feel amazing when I shut the Netflix off at 9. I'm doing it. I'm just doing it. I don't need discipline anymore. I am motivated, intrinsically motivated to do this behavior, right? It's like I had to delete the TikTok app. But I'm so addicted. Delete,
Yeah.
Took discipline to do that, and to not download it again, and to not check your phone. And now you're like, whoa, I don't have TikTok in my life. This is pretty sweet. Like, I'm not spending 3 hours a day just looking at, cats chasing, bugs around the room or whatever is your thing on TikTok. Dance moves. I mean, I looked at TikTok for like 3 days and I was like, whoa, this is not going to add something to my life right now, because it's really just consuming so much of my time. It's so addictive. I got to get rid of it. So it takes discipline up front to set these behaviors, and then intrinsic motivation can come through, or extrinsic some motivation. But it's not just like once you're there, then you're set for life.
Right.
And that's, I think, what people like. They're like, why do I keep going back to the beginning?
Yeah.
Marcus, you don't look like you ever have to go back to discipline. Like, you just seem motivated all the time. And that could not be farther from the truth.
Yeah. I think that's very important to be clear about that, because When you think about something like fitness, that's hopefully part of your life for your entire life, then there are necessarily going to be periods where you're not going to be as into it, or your life is full with other things, or you're stressed out, or you're having a physical issue that makes it harder. And so I think it's really helpful to get very precise about what you tell yourself mentally, how you motivate yourself, what pieces you put into play in your life to structure things so that you can have more success when you're not feeling as intrinsically motivated.
Definitely. What are some of the things that you've practiced in your life that have helped you to find that balance of, finding discipline when you need it and then hanging on to motivation when it's there?
Yeah. I have a whole pocket full of discipline helpers. And one thing I want to say first, though, is that my friends all say that I'm one of the more disciplined people that they know. And if you look at my True Coach, you'll see that I have checked off over 800 workouts completed, and I don't tend to skip days. But that doesn't mean that I don't struggle with it. And it's funny because I struggle with it so much mentally sometimes that it almost feels like I didn't work out at all. Mm-hmm. And then I get back into the gym and I have to kind of push myself to get in there. And I feel like I'm the worst person ever at pull-ups and it's so hard. And then I feel like, oh, I actually did get a little bit stronger. And so there's something about knowing that the process happens if you show up, even if you've dragged yourself there by the skin of your own teeth, that I think has been a good learning for me over time. But that doesn't always help me in the actual moment. I think things that help me in the actual moment are scheduling, like having a defined rhythm for when I'm going to do my training. It's like if there's a 10 o'clock meeting, I'm always showing up for that meeting on time. Same thing with my training, just prioritize it the same way. And there's something about just being in the same place at the same time with your shoes on, ready to go. That really helps build that rhythm. Accountability helps me. So knowing that my coach is on the other end of my training program, because I work with someone personally, I work with Shauna. So I think, oh, Shauna has programmed this workout for me and she's going to know if I don't check it off. That's another thing. Mm-hmm. And then there's something about, I'm going to call broadly novelty. So having some tiny thing I'm excited about in that workout. And it could be that I've just gotten a new pair of training shoes and I just want to go break them in. It could be I found a new cool song to listen to. It could be I've never done this particular kettlebell complex before and I'm excited to try it out. It could be I want to do a little bit of a, bicep curl finisher when I'm done and that excites me for the day. So just finding something, even if the whole training session overall feels overwhelming.
As I'm listening to you, I'm just, it's almost putting all this together in a kind of a concise model, which is we've talked about discipline, we've talked about motivation, and then there's what you're talking about, which are anchoring habits or habits that you've created. And habits allow you to have enough consistency to execute discipline even in situations where you're not feeling motivated, right?
Right.
It's all part of this puzzle, which we're trying to find out for every single person to get enough consistency to feel the way you want to feel in life. And maybe you only need 70% consistency to feel the way you want to feel. So what habits and what amount of discipline is required to get you into that flow state of motivation where you can just get your 70% and you can feel great. And then you decide, I want to bump it up a notch. I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to get shredded. I want to lose a couple percent body fat. Okay. Well, it's going to require more than 70% consistency. It's going to require 80% consistency. And you're not a new person. You might want this thing, but you still have the same life and same demands. So you're going to run into obstacles just as frequently. How are you going to ramp up your discipline? Are you going to implement better habits? What are those habits going to be? And is the motivation going to suddenly, oh, you got a new goal, so cool, you're motivated in the first week, but then that motivation might die off, and then you're now just this is my regular situation, my regular life. So I anchor on a lot of discipline because my motivation is it's not 100% all the time. This morning I got to the gym and I had a couple hours before our meeting, and it was like, I was like, I felt all this pull to do work. Like there was just the long list on my computer, on my notebook, and I was like, okay, all right, just start. You got to do this now. This is your training time. This is the block you have. Like I was trying to make deals with myself. I'm like, could I do this at 11? I'm like, no, I have calls. Like, no, I got to do it now. And I just got to moving, and I went through the rhythm. I said, okay, I'm just going to pull the sled for 5 minutes backwards. I'm going to do my warm up. And if I feel good, go for it. And then like 8 minutes in, I was like, I need music. Like I went and got my headphones. I put them in and I turned up the music, and I'm like, okay, this is feeling better. And it was a little cool, so I kept my sweatshirt on. I pulled the hood up. I'm like going through all the tricks that I have in my book to like get me into this focus zone. And like by the second set of back squats, so I'm like on the clock, it said 25 minutes since I had started. I was like, okay, I'm feeling this now.
Yeah.
Like that was a good set. And up until that point, I wasn't feeling awesome about it. And so that was, those were some habits that I've, kind of created in the past that helped me get into some focus mode. It required a lot of discipline, but now I'm like, okay, the week is off to the right start.
Yeah.
And thankfully I didn't push it, because tomorrow's workout's going to be easy. I'm going to be psyched for it, and then Wednesday's going to be good. And then maybe Thursday is when I'm going to struggle again next.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's next Monday, but there's going to be a time each week. And, anyhow, I'll just pause there and let you jump in.
Okay, great. Because there's something I want to tease apart here, which is that there is a separation, and this is what I was alluding to earlier. There's a separation between the work that actually happens and whatever mental gymnastics you're going through in your mind. And I think that those two things get compounded sometimes, and people get a little bit hung up on it because they make an assumption that you can't train or you shouldn't train unless you are into it or motivated
right.
or focused. Like people want to give it their all. They don't want to feel like they're just half-assing it through every workout.
Yeah.
But there are steps to it, and sometimes it's just about making that deal with yourself. I do the exact same thing where I'm like, oh, just get the bar. Your body doesn't feel like snatching today, but just get the bar, just do your little warm up and then see how you feel. And then 10 minutes later, I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm feeling this. So there are things that can happen totally regardless of what you're going through in your mind that still make it worth it.
Yeah. And I think it's like, one of the struggles I had over the years with health and fitness was feeling like, I need to keep the discipline to do this behavior. But then the behavior itself wasn't really rooted in a lot of like good fundamentals of like health and wellness. Like, I gotta stick to this low calorie, diet. I gotta just have the discipline. But the super low calorie diet was actually not positively motivating and reinforcing down the line, because eventually it started to burn me out and wear me down. And I think that that's something that people can get into, struggles with, is they're like, I got to be so disciplined to just do the 500 calorie a day shake diet. And it's like, no, you don't. Like that's maybe misplaced discipline. I'm not saying that a better solution is going to require no discipline, but it's like finding these anchor behaviors, these things that you're going to do that are going to create the consistency that you want, that if you put in enough discipline, they pay off big time and they make you feel better. And that's been like a way for me to like navigate and sift through what makes sense and what doesn't. I believe there has to be some discipline in any health and fitness pursuit that you want to make, because our biology is set up to take it easy. Like,
right.
Don't go do the workout. Like, just sit on the couch and eat the carbs. It's good for you. You're gonna, that's better than expending a bunch of energy and tearing down your muscle and working against evolutionary biology. So there's got to be some discipline, but once you're in harmony with that, your physiology and your biology, and you're doing these behaviors that took a little bit to get started, they should have a very, very immediate or like relatively soon positive feedback loop that make it feel motivational. Now, I wanted to like set that stage because recently someone asked me a question on an AMA was, hey, Marcus, like, how long does it take you to recover from like a cheat or a treat, meal? And it was funny because I just had this like weekend away and I had a couple drinks, alcoholic drinks. I ate, giant Mexican food dinner with lots of gluten, which I don't typically ever have. Then we went and got ice cream afterwards, which was like, it was just an indulgent night. And it was extremely delightful and made me happy. And I didn't feel right for the next 2 to 3, 4 days. Like, it messed with my biology. It messed with my digestion, my sleep, how I was feeling in my brain, a lot of things. And so it took me days to get over that, right? And I immediately had to go back to discipline because the next morning, I got to wake up and do the thing that I know is going to help me feel like myself again soon. And it was a choice to have that treat because I knew going into it. It's like, okay, well, to get back to baseline, I'm not going to just wake up tomorrow, feel great. And unless I do the discipline for the next couple days, I'm not going to feel great on Wednesday either. If I just kind of let this ride out for a while and like have another, similar day of eating tomorrow, it's going to just compound and make it harder for me to get back to feeling like my normal self, doing my normal routine and feeling motivated by that. Because after you eat some ice cream, it feels good, which it usually is. It's like, that's pretty motivating. Like, I want to eat some more of that. That's what it does to our psychology. So there's kind of like this, what is a treat meal? Well, it's a treat because I know it's going to impact my ability to just easily get back to life. Like, I need to show some discipline after that to get back to how I was operating prior to it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you made that point about wanting to make sure that your disciplined behaviors are actually good for you, even if they don't feel that great in the moment sometimes. But I'm thinking of Jocko's 4 a.m. wake up, non-negotiable, you must or die kind of vibe. And I've been an early riser, but I know that if I'm putting my kids to bed late and I'm not getting a full night's sleep, that's not going to be good for me. So making sure that it's actually in line with what supports your well-being overall is very important.
Yeah, I love, there's like a couple YouTubers that I follow who are like they're really into like the self-experimentation. And I love when they like do these 30-day experiments. I'm thinking of Matt Diavella.
Yeah.
And he does these 30-day experiments where it's like 30 days of cold showers or 30 days of waking up at 5 a.m. versus his normal 7 a.m. and discipline to do that. But he like really evaluates, okay, I loved that. That was great for me. Or that didn't work for me at all. I think it was his 5 a.m. wake up. He was like, I thought I was going to be so much more productive. I thought I was going to get so much more done. Everyone talks about like all these, super high functioning, CEO types do it. And he's like, I just ended up wasting all that time getting sleep deprived and just feeling pretty bummed out. He's like, that doesn't work for me. So you have to determine for yourself through self-experimentation and awareness, where is your discipline even like well directed?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, don't direct it at something that doesn't have this like, sort of flywheel, like get you going and now it's going and now you're just like, oh, this is great. I love it. On a recent podcast I was on, the host called it like, it's like the inertia. You got to like get over that. Like you got to start the ball rolling with discipline, but once it's rolling, it could be rolling downhill and that's great. You're along for the ride. Once you've, for some people that's like cutting the carbs, right? They just have carb heavy and then they cut carbs in the first week, maybe 10 days is sort of miserable. It's like they're going through like the carb detox. Like there's like the digestive system's kind of bacteria dying off. You're just maybe tired, maybe kind of like feeling a little lethargic. And then like, whoa, then it clears up and you're like, wow, this feels great for some people. And then that just, I don't need that, Now, will you ever eat a carb again? For sure. There's lots of them in your face. And if you don't hydrate well, and if you undereat calories, or you're not prepared with good protein, guess what's going to happen? You're going to reach for something quick and easy, which is going to be refined sugars, and it's going to trigger that whole brain pattern and connection and, addictive center in your brain that's going to say, oh, this is good. You do this. And then you might have to redo that process of weaning off carbs again, which could be, another 10 days, or if you catch it soon enough and you have the self-awareness and you inject that discipline early, it's only going to be a day or two of feeling kind of bummed out about it. And then, fast forward 10 years and you get to intentionally have sugar treats or, carb treats if that's what you want, and you can kind of get back to, life within 24 hours, no problem. So you can build up a lot of the foundation for this, sort of the resilience, by the more consistency you have in life. And that's what happens with training. For me, it's like, yeah, I've done training so long that I could just not work out for a week, and then next Monday I just come back and I'm right back in it. And that's not because I'm like the most motivated, disciplined person in the world. It's because I just have such a long history of doing it, that those feelings of motivation that come from doing some training are so deeply ingrained in me and just like embedded in my nervous system that once I just go and block the time off, do the sets, I feel it right away. I'm like, yeah, this is why I do this every day. I love this.
Yeah. What about the slippery slope where, let's say you've established some good disciplined habits and you're in a consistent rhythm of, let's say, training or even nutrition. And then as humans, I think we always want to make it a little bit more challenging and a little bit more complex. Mm-hmm. And how do you know when you're tipping over too far into something that's not really that great?
I was thinking about this earlier when we were talking. It's like, there's sort of that like sweet spot of discipline, like where, and I can't answer this for everybody. It's just like, when I know when I'm starting to feel like this is really requiring more discipline than I want it to require. That's then what's like healthy for me. Like I want to like shred out a little bit more and like really get lean and do something extra for my body composition. And I'm like once a day or once every other day, like having to be like, I shouldn't do that. I need to like stay disciplined. That's more than I want to be thinking about that. Or with training, it's like, I gotta, like right now I'm in I'm training twice a day, Satya.
I know.
I'm doing double days.
I know you're doing double days.
But it's not taking a lot of discipline.
You enjoy it right now.
I'm having a blast. Like I get up, I go in the sauna and the cold tub every morning, and I got a 30-minute window usually where I don't have to get the kids up yet. I just get on one of my cardio things. And you know what made that habit possible? I moved all the cardio equipment in front of the sauna. I have to like navigate around it to get to and from.
Smart.
It used to be underneath the side of the house, out of sight, out of mind. And now it's just there. And I'm like, okay, let's knock out 30 minutes of, biking or, nothing crazy hard.
Yeah.
It's not real training. It's just movement, and I can't go for a walk, which I would go for a 30-minute walk in the neighborhood, but I can't leave the kids, at the house sleeping.
Yeah, that's my situation too.
Right? Can't they just
be home alone at that young age?
Haven't we figured out a way to like kind of hack this with some technology? Come on.
Right.
The tech babysitter.
Bring on the robots.
I need a robot to just pin the kids into the room and not let them out. Okay. The discipline though, back to this. It's like right now it doesn't feel like discipline to do it. I've had a couple glimmers. Like I've had a couple days where I was like, I don't really feel like this. All right, let's do it. Come on. You're on a roll. 30 minutes a day. Let's stick it out. Let's get at least a month of this. Because that's how I learn as a coach and as an athlete and as a person. It's like, well, how does this impact how could this apply to somebody else, right? I'm in a little experimenting, a little creativity moment. So I pushed through. But if that were like every day, I was like, ugh, I don't really feel like this. Like, that's a sign that like, hey, this is the slippery slope. This is me just trying to do more and push it. Because I've had results and I've had success with a lot less. So this is not like, I'm not doing 30 minutes of cardio to like shred and like, compete in something. I'm just doing it because I'm exploring and it feels good. And I want to see what it's doing to my body. And if you feel like, well, how many calories are you burning? You increasing your caloric intake? I'm like, no, I'm not doing any of that. I'm just exercise. I'm just moving a little bit. That's what it is. So that's the slippery slope thing. It's like, how much added discipline are you having to bring to the party? And if you had zero discipline and you were starting from like, I'm always taking the easy way and the easy way has led to me feeling not good about my body, then you better be prepared to bring some discipline, which will ultimately turn into motivation. But if you're a reasonably disciplined person and now you added something to the table because you wanted to like get more jacked or, really refine something or see if you could do something different. And after 2 months, you're like, man, this is feeling really hard. That's the clear sign, because you don't need that extra to have success. You just got pulled into the trap of wanting to do more and explore more and be a human. And that's okay. But just asking that question, I think, is valuable.
Yeah. What other advice do you have for people who are just looking for a little bit more structure to get more disciplined?
I believe that, like, I think you might be an individual out there who's thinking, how do I get a little bit more motivated? And if you just reframe that, I need to be a little bit more disciplined, I think that alone can help people a lot, because the motivation follows discipline most often. And it shouldn't follow, the motivation should not follow the discipline like a year later. If that's the case, then we're disciplining on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
It's the person that comes to the gym who's been there for like 2 years doing personal training. They're like, I still hate the gym.
Yeah.
It's like, then let's fucking go do something else.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of ways to move.
Yeah.
This is nuts. Like,
don't do this to yourself.
Don't do this to yourself, Like, you keep on thinking, like, it's going to click one day. It's like, well, it's maybe
been
not.
2 years.
It's 2 years. You're not into it. Let's maybe go and try Peloton ride or something else.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just a mental reframe, I think, is a starting point. And then from there, just remember that you shouldn't feel like every single day of your life has to be like a hard, disciplined approach, unless you want to be world-class and uniquely qualified in something, then perhaps yes. David Goggins, that guy is like a hard-nosed, like, I don't care how crappy the day is, I'm going for this 20-mile run.
Yeah.
He's a unique person, and if you want to be like the best of the best, then you better bring some discipline, and in that regard, I have been very disciplined in a lot of things, but I've also been very, very driven and motivated too through the actions that I'm disciplined in because of this, positive reinforcement that they've all led to.
Yeah. And I think I'd add one more thing, which is that it's advisable to take advantage of the snowball effect, where if you're struggling, there's something you want to be disciplined in and you're just trying to get there, then breaking it down into the baby steps. Like, I love how you just put your cardio equipment in front of the sauna. Something as simple as just making it super available can really make a difference.
Put the bowl of apples right on the table in front of you every day.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be more inclined to eat an apple than a bag of chips.
Totally.
Love everybody out there. I hope this message and these words help you, and we'd love to hear from you and what you're thinking about when it comes to your own motivation and discipline. Hit us up in the DMs.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.